Internet use has literally exploded over the past few decades, firmly establishing itself as an integral part of everyday life. While unlimited access to people and things around the world has been a blessing for most, but for modern men, it has triggered a host of uncomfortable, distressing, harmful, addictive, and dangerous consequences. In fact, researchers have found that excessive internet use can trigger questionable behaviors, such as extreme online porn use and porn addiction. And because most of us are constantly on the internet for our jobs, entertainment, dating opportunities, networking, connecting with others, relaxation, etc., it makes sense that there has been a significant increase in web-based addictions, such as porn addiction. However, the one thing most people don't understand is that while there are porn addiction treatments available, they aren't fail-safe. In other words, even after receiving porn addiction help, there is still a chance you may relapse. But guess what? That's normal. In fact, 40–60% of people experience a relapse after recovering from an addiction, and only 33% of former addicts who are clean for less than a year remain clean forever. What does this mean? It means that if you experience a porn addiction relapse, especially during the first couple of years after becoming porn-free, you're not alone. And you're not a loser. Remember, addiction, regardless of its nature, is a disease. It's not a choice. And, just like any other mental and physical conditions, there is always the risk of a flare or relapse. In other words, what prompted the disease originally can re-trigger it if the previous circumstances reoccur. So, instead of beating yourself up after a relapse, the best thing you can do is address it before it gets out of control. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not of weakness. So, reach out and get the porn addiction help you need to finally kick it in the bucket once and for all. What is porn addiction? Porn addiction is often referred to as a behavioral addiction or sex addiction. And, just like any other addiction, porn addiction is an involuntary disease that negatively affects your life, relationships, health, and well-being. A porn habit can have serious and possibly dangerous consequences on your life if it is not properly addressed. What is porn addiction relapse? A porn addiction relapse is described as a return to porn use after being porn-free for some time. A relapse can feel self-defeating. However, many people who recovered from a porn habit had at least one relapse on their way to lifetime recovery. For these former addicts, the key to long-term success hinged on knowing how to properly manage the relapse once it occurred. These individuals did not wallow in self-pity, blame someone or something else, or allow the addiction to reclaim their lives. Rather, they take responsibility for the mistake and remove the triggers and immediately sought porn addiction help. In other words, they got back on the journey and kept trying until they could successfully stay porn-free indefinitely. Understand, however, that any time you make positive changes in your life, there is a chance you may relapse. In other words, improvement never comes without risk. The risk of returning to bad habits, which in this case is excessive porn use or porn addiction. Why? Because we have been taught since birth to repeat behaviors that get us what we want, behaviors that bring us joy. In other words, we have been conditioned to relapse if it serves a purpose for us. Plus, familiarity is always easier than new territory. So without intervention, our natural inclination is to return to what we know. This is especially true for former porn addicts who are struggling to stay on NoFap. The best thing you can do once you finish porn addiction treatment is to be honest with yourself. Although it's not a guarantee, you may relapse at one point, not because you lack the will, but because porn is everywhere. It's always around, lurking in the background every time you turn your smartphone, tablet, computer, or laptop on for work. All you need to fall back into the rabbit hole is a reliable internet connection, an electronic device, and privacy. So, keep in mind that you will be tempted from day one of recovery. Thus, it is important to accept this early on, so you are not shocked or confused if or when it occurs. If you are aware of what could happen after porn addiction treatment, you can plan for it. More specifically, you and a therapist can create a relapse plan to help you get back on track if you temporarily fall off the wagon. How can I prevent a porn addiction relapse? There are steps you can take to prevent a porn addiction relapse. Firstly, identify and remove triggers. Another step you can take to prevent a porn addiction relapse is to identify and remove any triggers. This may involve moving your laptop or computer to an open space, such as the living room or kitchen, shutting down and locking up your devices at a certain time each day, installing an anti-porn blocking program on your devices, deleting downloaded pornographic images, or throwing away hard copy porn magazines. Secondly, create a relapse prevention plan. With the help of a porn addiction therapist, you can create a relapse prevention plan that details how you'll respond to triggering. A relapse prevention plan is essentially a backup plan so you'll know what to do if you start getting those urges again. Third, be accountable. Regularly going to porn addiction support group meetings, sharing your struggles with close friends and loved ones, checking in with your addiction sponsor, making positive lifestyle changes, staying busy, and avoiding your triggers not only helps you be accountable for your actions but also lowers your risk of a porn addiction relapse. Is it hard for former porn addicts to remain porn-free forever? Honestly, it can be hard for a former porn addict to remain porn-free forever. Porn has a way of grabbing hold of people and refusing to let go. What does that mean? It means that relapses are always possible. Relapses are likely to happen for most former porn addicts. So, if you find yourself falling back into old habits like viewing porn, it is important to seek porn addiction help as soon as possible. As before, porn addiction relapse treatment may involve exercise, lifestyle changes, porn addiction therapy, anti-porn blocking tools, mindfulness techniques, etc. The good news is there is no limit as to how many times you can seek to get out of porn addiction. And there also isn't any judgment associated with it. The goal is for you to become permanently porn-free, regardless of how long it takes. Why is it so hard for a former porn addict to permanently quit porn? Well, primarily because sexual images are readily accessible. In other words, you can find them on your electronic device and movie and television screens. You can also find them in magazines and books. These images are literally everywhere. You don't have to look too far or too long to stumble across a sexual or pornographic image. The truth is, addiction is often a lonely disease, and porn addiction tends to be even lonelier than other addictions because of the shame and guilt associated with it. As a result, many porn addicts and former porn addicts have a hard time talking about their current porn use with others, even those closest to them. Former porn addicts are the worst at updating loved ones, friends, and therapists on their porn use because they are afraid of disappointing them. These individuals tend to feel like failures when they relapse, so they keep it to themselves. As a result, they eventually fall back into the porn world and a new cycle begins. What if my anti-porn blocking program is unreliable, and permanently shutting down my devices is unrealistic? How can I prevent a porn addiction relapse then? Well, if your anti-porn blocking tools are ineffective or unavailable, you'll need to find alternative ways to remain porn-free, such as going to weekly porn addiction support group meetings, finding things to do so you don't have time to visit online porn sites, setting a timer on your devices so they shut down at a specific time each day or night, talking to your close friends or loved ones about your porn habit, attending therapy sessions, joining an online anti-porn program, and exercise on a regular basis. In other words, the best way to remain porn-free indefinitely is to stay busy and identify your specific risk factors like sedentary lifestyle, joblessness, boredom, loneliness, dysfunctional relationships, daily porn use, a reliance on porn for sexual release or orgasm, escapism, etc. Once you know you have a daily routine and know your risk factors, you can avoid them and remain porn-free forever. What triggers can increase my risk of a NoFap relapse? If you have a chronic porn habit, you may be using porn as a way to deal with upsetting, confusing, stressful, overwhelming, or distressing emotions, people, or situations. Perhaps you return to porn to cope with your anger. Or maybe you return to your old stomping ground because of boredom, anxiety, depression, or frustration. Regardless of the reason, the goal of porn addiction relapse recovery is to teach you how to manage your emotions in a healthier way, so you don't feel the need to return to porn as a coping mechanism in the future. The first step: identifying your specific triggers. Keep in mind that porn triggers are specific to the porn user. In other words, what may be a trigger for one porn addict may not be a trigger for another one. However, most triggers involve people, such as friends, relatives, and partner, or locations, such as parties, clubs, sex clubs, bars, etc. Boredom, loneliness, social isolation, alcohol consumption, or drug abuse may be your trigger. So, if you want to prevent a porn addiction relapse, you must identify and avoid your porn triggers. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more. Also, don't forget to share this with your friends and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. X King out.